Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I am going to demonstrate what makes George Pickens a true #1 wide receiver at the NFL level and one of the better ones in the entire NFL. He is playing lights out. And so when we think about George Pickens, he's 6'3", 200 pounds. Now, being that size doesn't necessarily make you a good X wide receiver, but that is where he generally plays for the Cowboys and has played for the Steelers for the majority, really all of his career. He's typically an X wide receiver, but once again, the height and weight doesn't necessarily dictate that. You need to be decent enough against zone coverage, be able to beat man coverage, specifically man press. You need to have good enough vertical speed, or at the very least, really good contested catch ability and an ability to kind of leave yourself room on the sideline and good ball tracking ability. But his 40-yard dash time of 4.47 was 74th percentile. I don't think he necessarily plays with ridiculous speed vertically in a line, but it's adequate enough for him to get it done for sure. And his height and weight adjusted speed score of 102.9 is 79th percentile. I would agree that in general, he is very fast for somebody his size. Now, his burst score, his vertical and broad jump is only 48th percentile, so slightly low there. But he has a 10.11 catch radius, which is 70th percentile. And so what you have here is an X wide receiver, but you wouldn't necessarily know that just based off of the measurables and the athleticism. And so let's take a look at some advanced stats here. I took a look at wide receivers with at least 50 or more targets. That was a sample size of 50 receivers here. Pickens on the season has run 405 routes. That's 92.3% of the team routes, indicating obviously that he is a starter and getting starter level reps. Now, when you take a look at his alignment, his deployment, he's played 11.8% of the time in the slot and 88.2% out wide. That means he's typically a boundary wide receiver. Now, that could be a Z off the line of scrimmage. That could be an X on the line of scrimmage. I'm going to show you an advanced stat in a minute here that's going to essentially tell you that he is an X wide receiver. Taking a look at his yards per out run, though, in the sample size, his 2.60 was 4th. That's ludicrously high. His PFF receiving grade, which I don't necessarily care that much about, but it is a data point of 90.4 is also 4th, so they think he's very good as well. His yak perception of 4.90 is 14th. He is very good at making people miss after the catch. And the missed tackles forced of 17, which is also second in the sample size, is also indicative of him being very, very good after the catch. In terms of his contested catch percentage, he's had plenty of them. PFF has him at 18 out of 28 for a 64.3% contested catch percentage. That is fantastic. Typically, we want our guys to be hovering around the 50% mark, preferably a little bit higher. But for him to have such a large sample size and still have a well, and I mean well above average contested catch rate, this guy has some serious hands. Moving on to his targets and targets per game, his 89 are 8.1 per game. That is right on, that's pretty much wide receiver 1 territory, and it really speaks to the total volume of this Dallas passing offense that they can support both him and CeeDee Lamb. He has 67 receptions on the season at 6.1 per game, so he's being pretty efficient, and I got to give Dak some credit too, because Dak is playing lights out as well, but he's being efficient with his volume, which, considering that he is playing a vertical X role, that efficiency is ludicrous. And looking at his yards and yards per game, he has 1,054 on the season for 95.8 a game. That is strictly wide receiver 1 territory. That's awesome. And he has 8 touchdowns, which is 0.7 per game. That is fantastic as well. He's basically a lock as long as he stays reasonably healthy the rest of the season to finish with double-digit touchdowns. These are wide receiver 1 stats. Now, further looking into some more advanced stats, these are from Player Profiler. His 120.9 explosive play rating, which is receptions of 20 or more yards or 15-plus yard rushes, he has 13. That is 7th. Yeah, he is an explosive play waiting to happen in this offense. Now, when we take a look at his catchable target rate of 75.9%, that in and of itself is 24th among wide receivers. But when you take a look just a little bit below at his yards per target of 11.5, that's 5th. That means that Dak and him have a strong connection. Typically, being targeted deep down the field leads to less efficiency, yet he's been remarkably efficient. But how do we know he's playing X essentially without even really looking too hard and looking at the film yet? Well, he has a 1.4% motion rate. That's 182nd. Now, sure, the Z in an offense doesn't have to go in motion, but having an extremely low motion rate, while also playing over 88% of your reps from the outside the boundary, is going to essentially tell you that he's playing the X role in the offense. Now, his deep target share of 39.5% is 20th. That is a fantastic number, while also having a 22% red zone target share. That's 24th. Considering he's playing opposite of CeeDee Lamb, who did miss some time, but generally has been playing with CeeDee Lamb, that is awesome, and we like to see it. His yards per reception of 15.7 is ninth, which, when you consider his yards per target, that also is indicative of him being good after the catch and probably seeing some pretty good ball placement from Dak as well. His yards per team pass attempt of 2.59, which is also a really strong metric that correlates to you being a good wide receiver, is fifth among wide receivers. Now, his target separation versus man of 1.00 is 54th. It helps if you kind of understand his skills and kind of the role in which he's being asked to play in the offense. He's being asked to run a lot of vertical routes, the posts, the 9 routes down the sideline. Those routes don't really lend themselves to having a ton of target separation unless, you're Jamison Williams and you're just an absolute burner. But while he has seen some slot reps and he does get separation on slant routes, which I'll show you, that's kind of why you would see a little bit less of a target separation. In terms of his points per route run versus man specifically, his 0.65 are 10th, and his fantasy points per target versus man of 2.85 are also 10th. This guy is cooking man coverage. But does he have what it takes to really be a true number one? The advanced stats tell us yes, but what does the film say? Let's take a look. And I want to give a special shout out to my Patreon members. Thank you to Big Hunt, SP, Mage Jack, Infamy MTG, AOYOB, and The Dawn. Without your support, this would not be possible. As you're probably well aware if you've been watching my videos for a while, I cannot get monetized because of the film breakdowns I do, and even just the little videos I have where I have clips of plays in them. They get demonetized every single time, making it, therefore, impossible to collect any revenue. So, obviously, your support is greatly appreciated. And if you are so inclined to become a member, the perks would be you will get access to a private Discord where we have both a real life and fantasy football chat, as well as a voice chat if you just don't want to have to type a bunch of stuff. I'll also give you detailed roster breakdowns and roster reviews where we talk about the strengths and weaknesses of your team. Then we kind of break it down further by looking into the scoring settings themselves and the starting lineup requirements to help you build the best team to help you dominate for years to come. In both Dynasty and then in Redraft, obviously, I'd help you with a good, solid game plan, especially if you know where you're drafting from. Then also give you detailed trade advice based on your specific league settings to help you dominate. Also give you access to private live streams and the ability to not only see videos at least one day early, but also the ability to suggest videos that you would like to be created. So if you would like to support the channel, I would really appreciate it. If not, just please like and subscribe. Let's get back to the video. All right, taking a look at Pickens' first play here, it's going to be a slant. You're going to get a bit of a bubble here by CeeDee Lamb. You're going to get the tight end spotting up. The tight end in the backfield here went in a return motion where he started from the right, went to the left, and then returned back to the center in front of the running back. He is going to swing, and you're going to get a makeshift swing screen potentially. So Dak has different options. He can hit the spot, he can hit the swing screen, he can hit the bubble with CeeDee, or he can hit the slant with Pickens. He is going to choose the slant. As far as the defense is concerned, it's going to be straight cover one man. So you're going to have a deep center field safety. You're going to have straight man coverage throughout with the D line, all of these guys trying to pressure the quarterback. And so on this play, pay attention to Pickens. So first of all, he's going to initially attack the cornerback. Now, when he's running the slant, what kind of leverage does he need to be successful? He needs inside leverage. But first, what he wants to do is with his initial step, sell to the outside. So he's going to do that. Then he's going to get physical, and he's going to essentially force his way into having inside leverage, which is legal within 5 yards. So he's going to throw the defender to his left. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. He has the leverage he desires, and he's going to be open, creates the separation necessary, catches the football with 2 hands, and fights forward to try to get additional yardage. This is prototypical ex-wide receiver stuff from Pickens, and he's among the best at doing what he should be doing from the X. Easy money. Taking a look at the second clip I'm going to show you, we're going to have Pickens once again on a slant. You're going to get a seam by the tight end. You're going to get an out from the slot, and then you're going to get CeeDee on a little stop. As far as the Giants are concerned, it is going to be cover two man, but this safety is going to play his deep half a little bit more shallow, whereas this deep half safety is going to be a little bit deeper. But you are going to get man coverage throughout here. And you are going to get a blitz by this middle linebacker. And so you're going to have a total of 5 rushers here on the line. And so once again, just like before, Pickens needs to have the inside leverage to be successful here. And watch how he does it and how quickly. And so he gets a press look from this corner, which is exactly what he wants. So he sticks his one hand in there, and he has already won. We aren't even a second into the route, and he has already won. So bam, stick your hand in there. You have the leverage you want, separation, catch the ball, fight upfield for additional yardage. And once again, this is what Dallas needed. They needed somebody who could win at the X position, who can win down the field, who can win on these quick slants. And Pickens is exactly the guy to do this. And here we have a play that ends up being an incompletion. It was initially ruled a fumble. But what you're going to get is mesh from the Cowboys. So you're going to get double shallow crosses. You're going to get a clear up the seams here, and then you're going to get a deep dig from CeeDee Lamb. As far as the Giants are concerned, they're going to be in cover 4, so you're going to have your quarters coverage here. But more importantly, what you're going to get is some awareness from George Pickens. So pay attention to that. And so also, you see that Dak is going to have, with running back Javonte Williams, head out to the sidelines a little bit and then return in motion. This is to assess as to whether they're in man or zone coverage. They are going to be in zone, and that's a tell. And so he's going to hike the ball. Now, Pickens, once again, is running a shallow cross. The pass rush for the Giants, while the defense as a whole hasn't been very good, the pass rush is still very ferocious. So he's going to try to step up in the pocket and hit Pickens, but he's going to look as though he might have fumbled at first, but it's actually going to just, once again, be an incompletion. But look at Pickens. He's going to scoop it up, and he's going to try to get forward for some additional yardage. Now, the play's going to cut off at 20 seconds, so I can't show the rest. Once again, it was ruled an incompletion, but this is just some awareness that I like to see from the receivers. If you see the ball and there's any chance that it could have been a fumble, pick it up. And so once again, good stuff from Pickens, even though this play didn't result in any, positive yardage. And here we have Pickens once again. He is going to be running a slant. You're going to get what I believe to be a stab route from the tight end. You're going to get an out from the slot receiver, and then you're going to get a vertical route from the boundary receiver. You're also going to get Javonte kind of leaking out, but Dak hits the ball out of his hands before he can really finish his route. As far as the Bears are concerned, they're going to be in cover 2, so you're going to have your 2 flats right here. You're going to have 2 deep half safeties, and then you're going to have your zones over the middle of the field here, and then you're going to have your pass rush. And so on this play, Dak is a little bit late, in my opinion, getting the ball out, but Pickens is going to have the ball hit him directly in the hands in the chest plate, really, and it's almost an interception because he's going to drop it. Now, once again, I do want to specify that I think right now the ball needs to be out of Dak's hands, and it needs to be further out of his hands, I should say, because it allows the cornerback to get in there. But also from Pickens, he gets the initial leverage in which he desires, but he kind of backs up into the cornerback, allowing him to disrupt the play and get to the football. And once again, that's how close this was to getting intercepted by Brisker. So once again, definitely could have been out a little bit earlier, but at the same time, Pickens doesn't need to retreat back into the cornerback. It allows him to disrupt the pass, and then once again, almost gets intercepted because of it. And I'm having to try really hard to find negative film of George Pickens because he is playing lights out so far. And taking a look at the next clip, Pickens is at the top of your screen. He's going to initially fake as though he's just run blocking or, the play's over, and then he's going to hit straight outside for an out route. What you're going to get is a bit of a tricky initial concept here. So you're going to get a fake jet sweep to Turpin. You're going to get play action from the running back. You're going to get Ferguson working out to the flat, kind of as a blocker, but also potentially as an outlet at the flat. And then you're going to get Tolbert just essentially blocking at the top of your screen. And so what you're really going to get for the purpose of this play is one-on-one with this cornerback, and watch how he sells this. So once again, you're going to get the fake jet sweep and play action. And so boom. Let's watch the clip from the beginning and pay attention to Pickens, number 3. So he's going to just kind of press up as though he's blocking, and then he's going to turn around like, oh, the play's over, and then boom, head outside, one hand that football for a touchdown. Beautiful stuff. This is not a lazy route. This is absolutely on purpose. Yet another touchdown. Now, here we have a definitive negative from Pickens. Pickens is at the top of your screen. He is going to be running kind of like a curl, but it's really kind of a return route. You're going to get a mirror concept on this side from this boundary receiver. You're going to get a stop in the center, and then you're going to get a little out route from the tight end, and eventually the running back's going to slip out here. As far as the Bears are concerned, it's going to be quarters or cover 4 coverage, but essentially it's going to be matched on this side. So really it's like man coverage, but theoretically, it's quarters. So you would have 4 deep quarter defenders. This cornerback is going to act in match 2, but technically he would be a zone over the middle of the field. And you'd have your zones right here as well. And so watch what Pickens does. He's going to get off coverage, even though it looks potentially like press initially. So you're going to get the stop by Pickens. He's going to turn around, see that Dak is running to the boundary outside of the pocket. And so he's going to do what good receivers do and work back towards his quarterback and towards the sideline to present Dak with an easy target. Unfortunately, he's going to, I think, take his eyes off the football. It's really tough to see here, but regardless, it's going to get intercepted by Edmonds, the linebacker here, because he drops it. And really, there's just no excuse for this. He's going to tell you he should have caught it. The receivers coach is definitely going to say that. But this happens every once in a while. I haven't seen this enough on film for it to be really concerning, but definitely a negative play here and something you just got to get out and can't have happen very often. And so unfortunate to see, but as long as we don't see too much of this throughout the film, throughout the season, it's not going to be that big of a deal. And now that we've shown Pickens consistently winning on slant routes and then, at least one potential negative play with a drop, here we're going to start showing some of him winning vertically. So he is going to be running a 9 down the sideline. You're going to get the tight end and the receiver spot up here. You're going to get Javonte heading to the flat. As far as the Packers, it's going to be a cover 3 blitz. So this guy is coming off the edge along with this defensive line here. Then you're going to get 3 zones over the middle of the field, a deep third and a deep third. So this is middle of field closed coverage, being that it is a cover 3 blitz. But he is going to have essentially one-on-one coverage until the very end because the safety is going to start out on the opposite hash here. And so watch what Pickens does. So he's going to potentially sell as though he's going inside. He's going to get the leverage that he wants, although he doesn't have a ton of separation at this point. But one thing that he is doing is he's leaving enough space in between him and the sideline that if Dak can hit him with an accurate pass, he can drop it right into the breadbasket. And so Pickens is going to do a little bit of hand fighting here. He's going to create a little bit of a push off at the very end and come down with this on the sideline. And man, he was just a hair from being able to get this for a touchdown. But once again, even when Pickens doesn't create tons of separation vertically down the field, he is capable of hand fighting and positioning himself and then coming down in a contested catch situation that it really just does not matter. What a pass, what a catch, almost a touchdown. And here we have George Pickens defeating zone coverage. So initially the back, Javonte was lined up in the backfield next to Dak. He went out to the boundary. And so what this play might look like, and what the Packers might have been expecting is a bench where you would have Pickens potentially run a corner. But what he's actually going to do is he's going to run a post, but he's going to sell the corner first because you are going to get that on the boundary here, and then you're going to get Ferguson spotting up here. As far as the Packers are concerned, it's going to be a cover 3, and so you're going to have your flat zones here, your hook zones over the middle, and then you're going to have your deep thirds right here. Now, this deep center field safety is going to have to try to play between Pickens and Turpin, I believe, here on the bottom of your screen. So he's going to have to hesitate for a second or try to guess, essentially he's the conflict defender on this play. But what Pickens is also going to do once again is sell the corner to keep the outside third deep zone here to the left of him so that he has the inside positioning. And watch how he does it. And so he's just going to hit him with a little bit of a and then it's going to be successful because he does sell enough. Then he's going to get the positioning he wants. Easy touchdown. And once again, the center field safety here is going to be kind of a conflict defender where he has to pick his poison, to be honest with you. So good play design, good route by Pickens, and yet another touchdown. And here we have Pickens working at the top of your screen on a speed out. You're going to get Ferguson over the middle of the field. This receiver is going to take an outside release before hitting up the seam. You're going to get a go from the boundary receiver. As far as the Packers are concerned, they are going to be in cover 3. You're going to have a robber over the middle of the field. This guy would be the flat, but there's nobody that he sees in the flat, so he's just going to kind of stay in a little bit of a zone over the middle. And then you'll have your other zones over the middle of the field as well. And so because he has such off coverage, this speed out is going to be immediately open. But watch the ball placement from Dak here and the ability for Pickens to just smoothly turn into a runner because of the ball placement and head upfield for a touchdown. So once again, the off coverage is a big, big help here. So Dak is going to put this on the inside shoulder towards the hashes here in the center of the field, which allows him to kind of spin around and turn into an immediate ball carrier. The defender is going to take a poor angle at this as well, which definitely helps. Pickens does what good receivers do, heads upfield immediately, fights through contact for a touchdown. Really good stuff from him. Good toughness. And he absolutely understands that he should be the first read here based on the off coverage in which he's seeing. And really good ball placement once again from Dak. Really good stuff. And on the final play I'm going to show you, Pickens is going to be running a deep post. You're going to get a crosser from this receiver. You're going to get eventually this tight end leak into the flat. And then after play action, the running back will as well. Now, as far as the Jets, it looks as though this is going to be a cover 3, but essentially what's going to end up happening is these two players, the safety and the corner, are going to end up doubling and matching on the boundary receiver here. This safety is going to bite hard down here and stay in his zone, and you're essentially going to get match coverage from Sauce. But I think once again that this should be a cover 3, but just because there's only 2 receivers running routes, it kind of turns into a man coverage look. And so on this play, he is going against Sauce Gardner on the bottom of your screen. This is an impressive touchdown. And one of these things where he doesn't always win with overt speed, although he's plenty fast enough to. Sauce is an extremely fast and quick corner who's tall and lanky. And this theoretically on paper should be one of the most difficult matchups for George Pickens. But let's see how he wins. And so he gets off the line initially, has half a step on Sauce Gardner, but he needs to get the inside leverage. So he's going to kind of use some hand fighting to position himself to where he has enough space between him and Sauce, enough of a step ahead to get that inside positioning. Dak is cocked up and loading to throw this football deep. Pickens has stacked over the top of Sauce Gardner and continues to kind of get his hands in there to create enough late separation before falling and catching the football at the very end. Very impressive stuff from Pickens because, once again, this is not against some scrub corner. This is Sauce Gardner one-on-one, who theoretically, given his measurables and man coverage ability, should present himself as a huge problem for Pickens. But Pickens wins with intelligence. And so throughout these clips, we've shown that he can consistently win on slant routes. We did see one play, admittedly, although it was just one play, where he was working with Dak Prescott in scramble drill, and he did all the right things up to the catch, where he worked back towards his quarterback and worked towards the same sideline to present himself as an open target. But he did commit an egregious drop that was intercepted by Edmonds, the linebacker for the Bears. But we've also seen that he can stack vertically with the physicality that's necessary to win as an X receiver against physical press man coverage or even against zone. And he displays an ability at the catch points to just dominate you. It really does not matter. He will hand fight with you up until the catch is made. He's going to make it in a contested catch situation, and he is dangerous with the ball in his hands. And so if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you could like, comment below, and if you would be so kind, if you would support me via Patreon, I'm going to be extending this, showing a couple more plays and things that I like about his game, and then finally giving a comp, who he really, really reminds me of in terms of a past player. And once again, thank you for your support. If you do not wish to or cannot support me via Patreon, if you could just like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, I would really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.